I am willing to bet that none of you know anyone who has polio. I'm also fairly certain that none of you have had measles, mumps, or the whooping cough. This is not the case for my grandmother. She had several friends who had polio. She herself also had measles, the mumps, and the whooping cough. She, in fact, lost her hearing for a few months because of the measles. This is not something that we face today. I'd like to show you this picture of a girl who suffers from polio. We don't see this today, and that is thanks to vaccinations. As an exercise science student, I often hear my science professors talk about vaccinations, and it is a subject that I have become quite passionate about. Today I would like to discuss vaccinations and how they are safe, how they are immediately effective, and how all parents should vaccinate their children. To begin, I would like to discuss how vaccinations have a real and immediate effect. A vaccine is really just part of a disease that is taken and introduced into a body in order to increase the immune system so that when it's introduced to the disease later on, it can counteract the negative effects. In 2012, the World Health Organization stated that vaccines prevent 2.5 million deaths per year. And according to the College of Philadelphia, polio in 1955 had around 30,000 cases. And then under 10 years later, it went down to under 100 cases. And then in 2004, it was completely eradicated. There were no other instances seen in the Western Hemisphere of polio. Something that's crazy. And then we can see that because of vaccinations, there are several different diseases that are no longer seen in the Western Hemisphere and throughout the world. Vaccinations not only protect those who receive them, but also can protect all of those around them. This is something called herd immunity. The professor of microbiology, Professor Rod Pothong, stated that 90 to 95% if 90 to 95% of people are vaccinated, it can create the herd immunity. But if less than that are vaccinated, then it doesn't have quite the effect. This shows the importance of all people receiving vaccinations if at all possible. With herd immunity, children who are too young to receive vaccinations can be safe from diseases, along with those who have weak immune systems who can't receive vaccinations. I'm not sure if you remember the news. In 2014, there was an outbreak of the measles in Disneyland. And then in 2008, there also was a measles outbreak. Hundreds of people were affected. One baby was put in the hospital because of it. All because two parents decided not to immunize their child as they went to Europe. I would also like to talk about how some people who are against vaccinations believe it's due that increased health is not due to increased vaccinations, but it's due to increased sanitation. But to counter this, the Centers of Disease Control stated that, are we expected to believe that better sanitation caused incidence of each disease to drop just at the same time a vaccine for that disease was introduced? I'd like to show you a graph to prove this point. This shows measles in the United States. And as soon as the vaccine is licensed in 1965, the disease is eliminated drastically and immediately. This really shows that vaccines have an immediate effect, and it's not due to increased sanitation and increased nutrition. Though these things do help our overall health, vaccines have an immediate effect. Now I would like to talk about the safety of vaccinations. Vaccinations are safe. Side effects are rare, and if side effects do occur, they are less harmful than the effect the actual disease would be. Some people also believe that they might weaken the immune system. This honestly just isn't true. The Canadian Pediatric Society proves that this is completely false. They even show that with multiple vaccinations, there is still no decreased, there's no weakened immune system. Professor Flaherty from Vanderbilt talked about the most damaging hoax of the last 100 years. He talked about Dr. Wakefield. You may have heard that vaccines cause autism. That is due to Dr. Wakefield. Dr. Wakefield made a study showing that vaccines cause autism. It was completely false. He later was taken, his licensure for being a doctor was taken away, and 10 of the 12 co-authors withdrew. His findings were completely falsified, but the scare that it caused Americans wasn't. With all of these facts, it shows that vaccines are helpful. They have an immediate and positive effect. And it is up to us to make sure these effects come to be. We may only be college students right now, but we will eventually be parents. We also have an effect in our community, with our immediate families, with our neighbors. We need to choose today to open our mouths. We need to let this knowledge out to the world. Let your neighbors know the importance of them immunizing their children. And make sure that you immunize your own children when you have them.